The game ended in the most brutal way possible. One kick, the clock hitting 0, and total silence on the Baltimore sideline. But what happened right after that miss drew even more attention than the ball sailing wide of the uprights. Tyler Loop stepped in front of the microphones and said something nobody expected to hear in that moment, especially after such a crushing elimination. No script, no excuses, and his voice heavy with emotion. He spoke openly in a way you almost never see in the NFL. What Loop said helps explain not just that missed kick, but who he really is and how this moment could shape the direction of his career with the Ravens. Stick with me until the end, because his words completely change how this story should be viewed. It was one of those moments that makes an entire stadium go quiet for a split second. Everything that had happened before suddenly stopped mattering, because now it was just one kick, the ball sitting on the ground, and one player walking in to decide an entire season. Tyler Loop lined up knowing that if he made it, the Ravens were heading to the playoffs, celebrating a division title right there in Heinz Field. If he missed, it was over on the spot, no second chances. The kick was from 44 yards out, a totally routine distance for an NFL kicker, especially one who had been reliable all season long. This wasn't some desperate, unrealistic attempt. No miracle was being asked for. This was the kind of situation that separates ordinary moments from unforgettable ones. The ball went up, everyone tracked its flight, and then came the shock. It drifted to the right, without even giving that brief false hope that it might sneak in. In just a few seconds, the entire mood flipped. What could have been a celebration turned into pure frustration. The Steelers were celebrating on one side, while the Ravens stood there frozen, trying to process how an entire season had just ended like that. A game full of swings, mistakes on both sides, and clear chances ended on the most unforgiving detail possible. A missed kick on the final play. That's when the story starts to feel even heavier, because that miss didn't come from just anyone. It came from a player who almost never missed, who had been building confidence week after week, and who suddenly had to face the toughest moment of his career. From that point on, it wasn't just about the kick anymore. It was about how Tyler Loop would respond to everything that came next. Minutes after the game ended, with emotion still raw and the pain clearly visible, Tyler Loop didn't try to hide behind excuses. He could have pointed to the pressure, the crowd noise, or any external factor, but he chose a different path, looking straight at the situation. He made it clear the mistake was his, no deflection, and no shifting blame to anyone else. When he explained the kick, Loop spoke in a simple, almost instructional way, as if he wanted anyone watching to understand. He said the entire operation was perfect. The snap, the hold, the timing, everything exactly as practiced. The issue came at contact, when he struck the ball a little thin, causing it to spin too fast and drift to the right. That explanation shows just how thin the line is between success and failure in the NFL. This wasn't complete breakdown or a wildly shanked kick. It was a tiny technical detail, a small mistake in a motion he has repeated thousands of times, but one that, in that exact moment, carried an enormous cost. And when he owned that publicly, the tone of the story changed. It was no longer just about missed field goal, but about the mindset of a rookie facing the worst possible moment right away. That naturally leads to another key point, because this single error doesn't match at all with what Loop had shown throughout the entire season. What makes this moment even heavier is looking back at Tyler Loop's body of work over the year. All season long, he was nearly automatic, especially on kicks under 50 yards. Every time he stepped on the field, there was a sense of calm, the feeling that the points were coming, no drama involved. Missing only 3 kicks all season is no small thing, especially for a rookie. That kind of consistency shows preparation, confidence, and trustworthiness, traits coaches value deeply in a kicker. Until that Sunday night, nothing suggested Loop would end up at the center of such a cruel ending. But football has this unforgiving nature. What you did in previous weeks doesn't matter much if the mistake comes at the most decisive moment. A miss early in the season fades quickly. A miss as time expires, with a playoff spot and division title on the line, carries massive weight, even if it's the only mistake of the night. That contrast between consistency and heartbreak helps explain why the atmosphere felt so heavy after the game. This wasn't an unreliable player failing. It was someone dependable slipping when everything was on the line. And to make it even tougher, the path to that final kick was packed with drama, adding even more emotional weight to the moment.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
Before Tyler Loop even stepped onto the field, the game had already delivered a movie-like script. The Steelers seemed to have control when Chris Boswell lined up for the extra point, but he missed it, leaving the door wide open for Baltimore to stay alive. That mistake instantly changed the energy in the stadium and reignited hope for the Ravens. From there, Lamar Jackson did exactly what you expect from a franchise quarterback in crunch time. Calm but aggressive, he led the final drive against a defense bringing heavy pressure, with zero margin for error. The defining moment came on a fourth down completion to Isaiah Likely, a play that kept the game alive when it could have ended right there. That catch wasn't just another play. It put the Ravens in a real position to win, setting the perfect stage for the final kick. It was the kind of moment every kicker dreams about, a chance to be remembered forever as a hero of the night. But that dramatic build-up made the miss even harder process. After so much effort and so many right decisions, everything came down to a single swing of the leg. When the ball didn't go through, the emotional impact hit immediately, especially for the person standing at the center of it all. Once the game was over, it became clear that Tyler Loop wasn't dealing with just a technical mistake. Emotion poured out as he talked about the city, the organization, and how welcomed he felt throughout the season. His cracking voice showed how deeply that moment hurt, not just because of the kick, but because of everything it represented. He acknowledged how unforgiving his position is, where makes are celebrated quickly, but misses can linger for a long time. Being an NFL kicker means living with that reality every day, knowing one play can define how an entire season is remembered. That night, Loop felt that weight in the harshest way possible. For the Ravens, the challenge now is to see the full picture. A rookie who delivered consistency, stability, and key points all season doesn't suddenly become a liability because of one mistake, even a decisive one. Evaluating that with a clear head will be a critical part of planning for next year. This moment closes Baltimore's season in painful fashion, but also marks an important chapter in Loop's career. Moments like this shape players, test their mental strength, and reveal who can move forward. The kick didn't go in, the season ended, but Tyler Loop's NFL story is just getting started. This episode shows how the NFL can be cruel and revealing at the same time. Tyler Loop failed at the most decisive moment possible, but he also showed something that doesn't always surface after a loss like this: accountability, maturity, and a clear understanding of his role. Instead of hiding, he explained what happened, owned the mistake, and showed he understands the way of his job. Something rare for a rookie facing his first major professional setback. Now the conversation goes far beyond one missed kick. It turns to how the Ravens evaluate him, and how much a single play should, or shouldn't, define a player who was reliable all season when the team needed him. Moments like this test the mental side of the game, shape careers, and often separate those who fade from those who come back stronger, especially at such a lonely position as kicker. And now I want your take. Do you think this miss changes the Ravens' trust in Tyler Loop, or could this moment become a turning point that helps him grow even more in the league? Drop your comment below, because this debate doesn't end with a final whistle. It continues now, and Loop's future in Baltimore will depend heavily on what comes next.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself.